Welcome. I'm glad that you were able to attend this workshop today. We're going to talk about some strategies to help you succeed as a student. Many times when we start back to school, we're really excited. We're very goal-oriented. We're happy to have something that we're working on and that we're wanting to achieve. But sometimes we can get a little bit discouraged the first time we take a test or do a major project or assignment. So what I'm going to do in this workshop is give you some ideas and some tips that have been proven to help other students in the past and make sure that you can be successful as you continue through your college career. So we're going to talk about Bloom's taxonomy. We're going to talk about what we call metacognitive learning strategies, and how all of this makes connections with your emotions, with your motivation, just kind of the way you look at things every day. And we'll have some interactive activities that we'll do as we go along. The first thing we want to talk about is what we call the growth mindset. A lot of times it's the growth mindset versus the fixed mindset. And it's really the way that you think about things and the way that you approach things. There are several psychologists that have written books about this, and they do presentations on this. One of my favorite ones is a lady by the name of Carol Dweck. And she even relates this to young children and how, you know, we often want to tell young children, you're doing a good job, great job. We always want to give them high fives and tell them they're doing well. But sometimes that can actually give them this false sense of being extremely smart, knowing everything and thinking everything's going to come easy to them. And it's important at times to encourage everyone, whether you're young or older, to continue to develop, continue to work, continue to learn more. So she often talks about this phrase where we say, you're doing good, but you're not there yet. You're just not yet. And that's okay, because that helps you to know you've got to still continue to work before you can reach a certain learning outcome. Now, when someone has a fixed mindset, anytime they have a failure or a setback, they normally believe it's because of their abilities or their lack of abilities. There's nothing they can do about it. You'll often hear students say, I'm just not good at math. So I taught allied health programs for a long time, and we had courses where we had to do calculations, pharmacology, radiography, and I would have students announce to me, look, I was terrible in math. They would even say things like, I sucked at math, and I'm not going to do well in this. They already had that fixed mindset. A lot of times they think, I'm either good at something or I'm not, and there's nothing I can do about it. What you want to help people do is transition into more of a growth mindset. Some people look at a failure as an opportunity to learn and get better. I can learn to do anything that I want to. So some people understand that I may not have achieved this the first time, or I may not have gotten the grade that I wanted the first time, but if I'll keep working and keep trying, I can definitely improve. The growth mindset is what's going to make you successful, and the fixed mindset is what's going to hold you back in your future. So at this time, we'll do a quick activity involving think, pair, share. You're going to have a partner. You're going to think a little bit about, your ideas in regards to the fixed mindset versus the growth mindset. And do you think that when people have one or the other, that it's always been there since early childhood? With your partner, you're going to talk a little bit about how school was for you. Was there anything that was a real challenge for you? And did you ever feel like you just were not going to be able to get over that challenge, and that was just one of your shortcomings? Talk a little bit about math. Everyone seems to have an interesting story about their experience with math. And then we'll share from each group. We'll allow each group to talk about what they discussed. Now I want to show or share an example of something that personally happened to me when I was in college. I'd already actually finished my master's degree, but was taking some more classes for another program that I was applying to, and it required a few chemistry classes, then it required a few biology classes, and then organic chemistry. And organic chemistry is where I hit a big roadblock. Mainly because it was really new to me, it was very complicated, and I was taking a class at a community college, and the professor was an adjunct professor. He had a full-time teaching position at the local university, and so this was kind of a part-time thing for him, and the class was at night. It met 2 nights a week. He was always late, about 10 to 15 minutes late every night. Then he would spend another 10 minutes going through his computer trying to figure out what were we doing the last time I was here. You could tell he'd never thought about our class since the last time we met. And then he just really wasn't a very effective lecturer. Now I say that because of all of my experience teaching and observing teachers and mentoring teachers over the years. So it became very obvious that we were not going to get what we needed from this professor. I did all the work that I needed to do, read all the chapters, took notes, did the problems in the back of the book, but his first test was so different than anything that we had seen or studied. And he really didn't care that a lot of people made C's and D's and were unhappy with their grades. But I wasn't about to drop the course. I'd paid for it out of my pocket, so I found some videos online of a professor who had about 50 different videos where he was writing on a chalkboard and explaining all these concepts. And that's what I used to learn organic chemistry, and ended up with a high B in the class, even though I felt that because of my efforts and the work I had done, I should have gotten an A. But I knew I had to take it upon myself. I didn't look at this situation as, well, it's hard, so I'm just not going to try, or I'm going to go ahead and accept defeat. And that's something that you're going to have to do at some point in your career. I also have an example of my brother who went to EMT school back in 1996. He never did very well in high school. In fact, he was actually in some special ed classes throughout elementary school, middle school, and high school. And a lot of times he just wasn't very interested in school. He just kind of barely did enough to get by. But when he was in his early 20s, he had been a volunteer firefighter and decided to go into the EMT program. And he talked me into taking the EMT course with him. And he actually did very well. It was the first time he found something that he really enjoyed learning about and really applied himself. And then he was able to continue doing that for several years. So a lot of it is really finding out what you're interested in and what is important to you. So, you know, we often have this, we all have fears. We all have things that we know we're not good at. And then sometimes we start school, we start a new program, a new degree, a new adventure, and we can get easily discouraged when we hit our first roadblock. So it's real important to try to adopt a growth mindset. I think you have to anticipate that you're going to have some roadblocks and some unexpected challenges, but you want to definitely keep thinking, what did I start this program for? Why did I come to the first day of class? I used to go into orientations for new students, and I would often tell them, it's very possible, you know, a semester or two down the road, you may be very overwhelmed. You may feel like, I've got so many difficult things going on in my life. On top of that, I'm trying to manage a family, a job, and school. And you're going to think, what is the one thing I could get off of my plate that would make my life less stressful? And a lot of times you might think, I'm going to take a semester off. And I would tell those students, if you get to that point, I want you to remember why you were here tonight. Why did you come to this new student orientation tonight? You each have a reason for going back to school. We know with a lot of adult learners, they go back to school because they're trying to get a better job. They're trying to advance at the current job that they have. They want to be an inspiration and an example to their children. They want a better life for their children and their family. Sometimes tragic things happen in their life, and part of recovering and moving on with your life is doing something new. They also enjoy the relationships they develop with people while they're in school. So it's real important to keep that in mind if you ever get discouraged, if you ever meet a challenge, and just always think about the growth mindset and just know that nothing can hold you back if you have the desire to continue working and continue to get better. So as we continue through this workshop, we're going to look at all of the different levels of Bloom's taxonomy. This will really help you to understand how to approach different assignments and projects and even different questions on a test. And what it's going to demonstrate to you is you have to have multiple ways of studying and gathering information. And as you move throughout your academic career, taking tests and doing homework is going to be more than just recalling information. So we'll be talking about how to approach these different assessments and how to approach them at different levels of thinking. So as we continue, we'll get into Bloom's taxonomy.